Maryland has officially declared a state of emergency as the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, faces suspension amid a prolonged government shutdown, sending shockwaves across communities that depend heavily on food assistance. The move, announced by Governor Wes Moore, marks one of the most urgent responses from any U.S. state to the deepening crisis caused by the halt of federal programs. SNAP, often called food stamps, provides monthly benefits to help millions of low-income Americans buy groceries. In Maryland alone, more than 700,000 residents, including children, the elderly, and working families, rely on the program to meet their basic nutritional needs. When federal funding for SNAP was suddenly suspended, it created an immediate emergency, not theoretical, but real, measurable hunger among some of the state's most vulnerable people. Governor Wes Moore described the situation as a human-made disaster, criticizing the federal government's failure to maintain essential services during the political standoff in Washington. The shutdown, driven by congressional gridlock over the national budget, has caused major disruptions across multiple departments, but the suspension of SNAP has proven to be the most personally devastating. For many Maryland households, SNAP isn't just assistance. It's the difference between having dinner and going to bed hungry. Under the state of emergency, Maryland will release $10 million in immediate aid to food banks, shelters, and nonprofit partners. The funds are intended to stabilize the food supply while the federal program remains on hold. The Maryland Food Bank, Capital Area Food Bank, and other major organizations are expected to receive emergency grants within days, enabling them to purchase food, expand storage capacity, and support local distribution networks. Governor Moore's administration said the emergency declaration allows the state to bypass normal bureaucratic delays and move funds directly to frontline providers. The declaration also authorizes state agencies to coordinate logistics, transportation, and volunteer mobilization to address food insecurity. According to the governor's office, Maryland's goal is to ensure that no family goes hungry because of Washington's dysfunction. The crisis began when federal funds for SNAP were frozen during the government shutdown. With no budget approved, the Department of Agriculture, which oversees the SNAP program, lost the authority to issue benefit payments. While emergency reserves covered the first few days, by late October, officials confirmed that the program's continuation was impossible without congressional action. Across the country, millions of Americans suddenly found themselves in limbo. Grocery stores that depend on SNAP customers saw sales drop sharply. Food banks faced surging demand, and state governments, already struggling with their own fiscal limits, were forced to consider whether they could fill the federal gap, even temporarily. In Maryland, officials decided they could not wait. Governor Moore said the state had both a moral obligation and a practical need to step in. "We are facing an avoidable hunger crisis," he said during a press briefing. "This is not a natural disaster. This is a failure of leadership in Washington, and the people of Maryland should not pay the price for it." The governor's response has received widespread support from advocacy groups, including the Maryland Food Bank, Feeding America, and United Way. They praised the administration for acting swiftly, noting that every day of delay could push more families into desperation. Point.